Welcome back, everyone, to the Queen of TV channel. I'm your host, the Queen herself, and you are the Prince and Princesses. You're either a subscriber or you are a viewer. Either way, welcome. Today, we're talking about the top 10 storylines I wish they had done in season 2 or done better. Now, I've done season 1, now we're on to season 2. So, let's get right into it. At number 10, the storyline that I wish we got that I brought up in season 1, but now is different than season 2. I wish that they had made Lewis the merman of season 2. Instead of making Charlotte a mermaid, I would have liked if they made Lewis a merman, or at least had her be a mermaid and him be a merman. His attempt to try to stop Charlotte from getting into the moon pool, he gets there, and when she's about to jump in, he tries to grab her, but he ends up falling in the water with her. Now, that would have been a complete twist. Them turning Lewis into a merman would have made me excited and ecstatic because, hear me out. If they had done this for episode 13 or 21, this would be the whole different thing. So let's start off with they have done this in episode 13. They done this in episode 13. The girls would have to reveal their secret to Charlotte. Everything would have made sense to Charlotte, but also this would give Lewis a reason to not only be able to be near Cleo, but for him to have a different perspective than Max did. He would have to actually fully be a part of it. And we would have seen like everything that's happened, not they've broken up, and we would have saw him Lewis as a merman bring him more closer to Cleo than we would Charlotte. Yeah, him and Charlotte would still be together and everything else, but Lewis would finally fully get a grasp about where Cleo's mindset has been this entire time. He would have understood her struggle. He would have known how difficult it's been for her, and it would disrupt Lewis's life as well and everything that he has accomplished. Even more so, it would have probably make Charlotte far more jealous to see that Cleo and Lewis are using this time to bond together as a fellow mermaid and a merman, and would be one of the catalyst reasons why she would eventually turn on the girls and try to move Lewis over to her side. Though it would be difficult for her because he would have been fed up with her at this time. But let's just say they didn't do that. Let's say they did it in episode 21. Let's say story-wise, Lewis knows the full moon. He knows the girls can't stop her. They tell Lewis they gotta do something. Lewis says, don't worry, I'll handle it. He goes to Mako, right? He thinks that maybe that's where she is. So he goes to Mako, he gets there, and the moon pool has already started. He runs in to try to stop Charlotte. He tries to grab her, but he too falls into the pool when she jumps. This leads him into becoming a merman. Much to Charlotte's shock, because that wasn't a part of her plan. She solely became a mermaid just so the girls had no choice but to bring her into the fold of their group, just so she can take control over the situation with Lewis and have him only relegate to her team and focus on her and be the only real mermaid in his eyes. No, that's been taken away because now Lewis is a merman. In his attempt to try to stop her, he accidentally becomes a merman. This obviously will shock the girls because who would be the first person Lewis would tell? It would be Cleo and the girls. He would have told them what had happened. He would have already known. And yes, the girls would have been shocked. But then again, there would be a bright side on it. Lewis will fully understand what they've been going through. Lewis would actually be jumping at his skin to finally be a part of their team, more so now because he's a merman. This would mean that him and the girls can spend all their time together and they can help Lewis out because Lewis would be the one to be the most eagerest to learn. this would be a great thing for Cleo because she wouldn't feel so alone. She wouldn't feel isolated because she can now share that same gift with Lewis because now her and Lewis have a stronger connection. They both share this same burden, but they wouldn't take it in a negative approach. It'd be in a positive approach. Lewis finally will understand Cleo, and Cleo finally has someone that she loves fully understand her. Now, this is where this would hurt Charlotte. Charlotte would now be a part of the group, but unlike her, Lewis would actually be willing to want to learn everything. He'd actually want to be with the girls on the full moon and start making plans. He'd actually try to spend time with them. He'd actually would be on their side in Charlotte and against Charlotte with how she's handling everything with their powers because Lewis would have known that the girls know a lot more than them and would be glad to be on their side on things rather than Charlotte. And he would see things more from their perspective instead of being caught in the middle and being forced to be the peacemaker. And then a decision would have to be made when the main full moon would come. Lewis would probably try to sacrifice his powers and himself to stop Charlotte. But then the plan would go to crap because there'll be a question. Does Lewis want to give up his powers or does he want to remain a merman? That would have to be up to Lewis to still decide even after Charlotte is dropped into the moon pool. Lewis would be given the opportunity to make that decision for himself. So the question for the fandom would have been, would have Lewis given up his powers forever or would he stay the merman? Meaning season 3 would have been a completely different season. We would have seen a different Lewis and a different dynamic in the mermaid group. But I'll leave that up to you guys to decide whether or not you would prefer that. So now that I've gotten to break that down, let's talk about the ninth thing that I would have liked the storyline with their powers. In season 1, I had complained that we should have gotten a storyline where we actually saw the internal struggle with their powers. Well, in this season, it is different. I would have liked that we saw more of their new powers. We don't see Cleo, Emma, and Ricky using the new powers as much as they should have. So in that way, we can see how they've learned to do different stuff with those powers and how they've been training them and how well that they've gained these powers of control over them. So we don't see enough of their powers in season 2. They kind of give the new powers a back burner and only bring them out when they think they need of importance. Which sucks because they're very cool and it's shameful that we don't get enough of those powers. Now, that brings me to the 8th one. The storyline that I wish that we got, like, big time, more so than in season 1. I wish that they had done a storyline where they could bring Zane back for season 2 and put him in way more episodes than what they gave us. They only gave him 7 episodes this season. 7. And he was barely in any of them and wasn't even the main plot point. They should have brought him back so we could have seen his full 180 growth. And I explained this more in the season 1 top 10 storylines, but in this one, I feel like they have failed his character arc in this storyline to of redeeming him, which is why I am sad to say that no, I still do not like Zane as a character. I can tolerate him. I can say good things about him. I can give himself some flowers on certain situations and episodes, but overall, I do not like his character, and that will not change for season 3 because he's still with the bullshit. So, and they do have him in season 3 a lot more than they did in season 2, and it is not a good thing. So, On to number 7. A storyline that I wish that they did for season 2, or at least they could have done more of. I wish we got more of a storyline with Ash and Emma. Like, they have a relationship that is only relegated to a couple of episodes, not enough. And the show focuses more on Charlotte's abuse and manipulation of Lewis, and Cleo and Lewis trying to find a balance. That Ricky and Emma's relationships are put on the fucking back burner. They didn't even try to convince us these relationships are worth fighting for. Ricky and Zane, I can see why people would try to fight for them because they try to do humanize Zane, but they still fucked it up for me in episode 15. But they should have given us more of Emma and Ash, or at least gave us just as much of Emma and Ash, or Emma is what I believe their ship name is, which is AMMA, Ash plus Emma, and Zicky, Ricky plus Zane, just as much as they gave us like Lewis plus Cleo, minus Charlotte. You know, now I think they focus more on Charlotte. Um, and then they would throw Emma and Ricky in there and have Cleo and Lewis do some things, but like it was mostly relegated to this triangle, which was Charlotte chasing after Lewis and forcing her will over him, while Lewis was still pining for Cleo, and Cleo still had Lewis in her heart while trying to figure out her life. So we really didn't get enough of those two. They gave them the back burner when it came to their relationships, and they should have done them a lot more better than they did in this season. And I feel like they could have done a lot more than what they gave us. The 6th thing I want to talk about, you would have liked a better, or at least a more obvious backstory for Charlotte. From what I can grasp for her character is that she's attention seeking. She's not used to rejection. She has never had a boyfriend. It shows. She can't really be genuine with people. She is very deceiving and has ulterior motives when it comes to a lot of stuff that she does. And things that she say, you can map out that she's the problem in her relationship with Lewis, and she's also the problem as to why she can't really get along with the girls. And I am going to give a video on that. That literally is next. The 20 reasons why Charlotte couldn't be friends with Theo, Emma, and like the mermaids. So yeah, like they should have given her like a more of a backstory to help us, I don't know, understand what the fuck this character's deal is and why it was so easy for her to lose her fucking marbles from the very beginning over Lewis. Like, what the fuck was her childhood like? What was up with her relationship with her mother, her grandmother? Like, they tell us certain stuff, but they don't show it to us. So what are we supposed to believe? You know, like generally, what are we supposed to believe? Okay, what was that? Number 6, right? Yeah. Number 5. The 5th thing that I've ranked that I wish that we got to talk about, or at least done better. Wish they handled this Charlotte Mermaid thing, because I do not like the fact that they went point A, point B, point C, point D, and ended it. We went from Charlotte becoming obsessed with Lewis to becoming very suspicious of Lewis spending time with the girls, being even more obsessed and hateful towards Cleo for no reason. Before she became a mermaid. So when we got to the mermaid stuff, we went from find out Charlotte's Grace's granddaughter to Charlotte find out Grace is a mermaid really fast to Charlotte ended up find out that Gracie was a mermaid to Charlotte immediately becoming a mermaid, like literally in one episode, to Charlotte want to be a part of the group, to Charlotte immediately seeing herself as a super mermaid, to Charlotte apparently meeting the girls and already having issues and problems with them, from then her deciding that, yeah, she does want to do things on her own and does not want to be a part of the group anymore. To her being a total bitch to them, and then her getting her comeuppance. To her literally trying to cause a rip between Cleo and Lewis. To her getting found out and dumped real quick. And then her ending up going crazy trying to cause girls their powers. To her losing her powers, and then she leaves. That shit happened way too fast. Way too fast. And I think that is because they made her a mermaid late into the season. They turned her a mermaid in episode 21, and we only had 5 episodes to fit her as a mermaid. That means they had to have one episode where she wanted to be a part of the girl group, to the next episode where she didn't want to be a part of the girls group anymore, to her using her powers against the girls and bullying them, to them no longer want to be like, to her losing them as allies, to her then losing Lewis as an ally, like literally in the next episode and getting dumped, to her then losing her damn powers. Like, I'm not saying, yay, I would have loved Charlotte to be a mermaid more, so then we got more of her character. I'm saying that if they were going to have her turn against the girls, they should have made her a mermaid in the 13th episode, instead of just having her become a mermaid in the 21st episode. They still could have did this Gracie code reveal stuff, but it would have been like, maybe the would have made the whole her saying, "Oh, I must be a super mermaid," like, and then just deciding that she's more mermaid than the girls because she got all their powers. On, like, literally by the next episode, they should have just made her a mermaid in the 13th episode, have her find out that her grandmother, Gracie, was a mermaid in the 20th episode, to, after her finding about Max and her hearing his story, her coming to some type of coding realization after being jealous of the bond that uh, Lewis and Cleo still have, with her listening to Max's story and only like finding out that in her mind, Lewis probably was only close to Cleo because she was a mermaid. That's why Matt's so close to Gracie. Like, giving her, I don't know, some kind of closure, because they could have made it to where, like, they didn't try to involve Max because they wasn't even sure about telling Charlotte about Max, because, you know, they didn't know Gracie was his grandma. And then when they find out Gracie was her grandma, and they didn't tell her about Max and the stuff that he was saying about Gracie, and they kept that from her, and she finds it out, she's upset about that, and she finds out about the story, and then we get to like where this whole thing about finding her grandmother was a mermaid, and her feeling like she was destined to be a mermaid, and it all goes to her head. Like, instead of making it a one and done episode of their friendship, they should have at least made an attempt to try to make them friends. I understand why they didn't do that, because they were focusing on the domestic abuse storyline and not really thinking that, hey, make her a mermaid earlier than this. We can still continue the abuse storyline. We can try to get her to try to be friends with the girls, but then as time goes on, Charlotte lets the power go to her head, and her jealousy and her insecurity with Lewis gets the best of her. So she ends up fucking that friendship up by causing too many problems and not really learning from her mistakes and making the same mistakes they did and not seeing the learning process upon it. So then, yeah, it would have made perfect sense. And then it would have given fans the idea that Charlotte literally is the cause of why the girls are not friends with her anymore. Like, they can understand that she's excited about grandma being a mermaid, but like, to people, it will come to the realization that Charlotte really done goofed up. Like, she made a mistake. Like, you can see through her perspective how certain factors can play in the power going to someone's head. Instead of just saying like, hey, she just literally just used them to get information and didn't want to be a part of their friend group, like she said, and just this was just more of a domestic abuse type situation than her actually truly wanting to be a mermaid because she wanted to be a part of the group and wanted to be a part of her grandmother. No, all that was just a fucking excuse. Yeah, that's good too, but they also could have did a what if type situation with this. Now, let's talk about the fourth thing. Rank that number four. The storyline that I wish that we got this season was, I really wish that we saw how the divorce affected Cleo and Kim, both of them. Like, give Kim a storyline with this too. We do kind of see it. We see Cleo act out from time to time than she usually would because it's out of character for her, and that's because of her family situation. But like, we don't see enough of that. Same thing with Ricky. We don't see enough of that. Same thing with Emma. We hear that Emma having difficulties sometimes when she cancels trips with her families and stuff, and they don't understand. Like, show us more of that. Where the fuck is the conflict? Show us the conflict. Like, I would have loved to actually seen the reason for the divorce, like see the problems in the mirrors, like I said in season 1, and then just see it reach its breaking point and they break up, and we see how that affected them all separately, and have at least give Cleo a fucking moment of a scene with her mom. Like, she's not even in the motherfucker. We hear that they can go see their mom all the time. They can always call her and text her, and I'm like, what the fuck? So she's just not gonna show up. Y'all can at least like fake her damn voice over the telephone. But like, no, that didn't happen. Or at least fake Cleo talking on the phone with her mom. So we can at least know they're communicating. We don't even see this. So how do we even know the mom's around? We just literally can say that Cleo's mom abandoned the fuck out of her. Especially Kim, because at least now we know why Kim gets worse and worse in season 2. Because like, literally, when your parents get divorced, it affects the youngest kids the worst than it does the oldest. Now, the third thing that I want to talk about for season 2. I really wish we talked more about Gracie. We don't know shit about Gracie. We only know Max's point of view. Okay. All we know from Gracie's story is that she was a mermaid. She was unhappy as a mermaid. He thought it was a smart idea to give her a necklace so she can be forced to be happy about being a mermaid. It didn't work, and she blamed him for why she never felt herself and was human, and that being with him only made her feel worse. Dumped him, blamed him for everything, and threw away the locket and just gave her powers up. And then we found out, oh, she used to talk about stories about the sea, and she liked art. And her and Charlotte had a bond. She wasn't close to her daughter, and she died when Charlotte was 7. That was like 10 years ago. So I'm like, so let me get this fucking straight, right? Let me get this whole thing straight. That's it. I tell you, when I watched it, I called it for what it is. I called Gracie selfish. The only reason why I called Gracie selfish because I said it was selfish of her to sit there and not only mistreat her friends but mistreat her boyfriend. because she didn't even attempt to try to accept the mermaid stuff. And then she turned around and tried to blame him for why she was unhappy. Like I brought it up that when Cleo had broken up with Lewis, Cleo told Lewis that he didn't understand the struggles of what it was like them being a mermaid because he wasn't a merman. So he didn't fully understand and grasp what was going on with her mentally, which was true. She wasn't saying it, hey, it's your fault. I can't control my powers. Oh, it's your fault. Not a human girl. It's your fault that I'm fucking miserable. Like she literally is telling him in this he doesn't understand what really goes on with them as mermaids. That he can't really help them deal with this. That she has too much in her life going on right now to actually focus on their relationship, and that it's hurting her that he cares like more about the mermaid stuff than what's really going on with her internally and mentally. She's not blaming him for why she's going through this shit. She's just saying that he's not seeing it from their eyes. That he doesn't understand. That he's not a merman. He's not like them. She didn't mean that he wasn't a part of the group. She meant that he wasn't a merman. So he didn't get it. He didn't get what the hell they were going through. Gracie, on the other motherfucking hand, we see her sit here and fucking say that being with him is like being with a fucking broke ass record because being with him means that she can never be normal. What the fuck are you talking about? What does that got to do with him? You already a mermaid before he even fucking came in the picture of your relationship. But she blames him as if it's his fault. And all he was trying to do was physically, like, help her. Because he only wanted to do the shit because of her. Lewis, on the other hand, was a different story. He wanted to help them control their powers, and he went about it the wrong ways because he became controlling towards Cleo. And Cleo had to break up with him. Because it made her feel worse, and her head and mind and heart was all clouded. So she had to end her relationship because she wasn't emotionally and mentally checked into the relationship. That being with him was only hurting the both of them. And at that moment, she felt it was the right thing to do because they were getting nowhere, because no matter what she said, he wouldn't listen. All Max wanted to do was to make her happy. Both of them were trying to help. Lewis went about it the wrong way. Max went about it the wrong way. But Cleo went about it the right way. She broke up with Lewis for the right reasons. Their relationship was going down a toxic path. While Gracie and Max's relationship, yeah, it was toxic. But instead of like saying her being a mermaid is too hard and that she needs to separate from him until she figures some things out like Cleo did, she told him, no. This necklace, it don't mean nothing to me. It's just a constant reminder I'm never gonna be a normal girl. And being with you is a constant reminder I'll never be a normal girl either. Like blaming him for why she's fucking miserable. So yeah, to me, Gracie's fucking selfish. I don't know why people saying Cleo's selfish. Look at Gracie and Charlotte. They're the most selfish fuckers I ever seen. How you gonna turn that shit around on him and gaslight him like that? No wonder he never got over her. At least Cleo was trying to get Lewis to get over her. She didn't even want to like make everything between them romantic. She tried to make everything between them be friendly. Shit. Not Charlotte, and apparently Gracie neither. That's so fucked up. Hell, I got so mad, hell, I forgot where we's at. Which one I say? Number 4 or number 3? I wish I wrote this shit down. I'm gonna guess that we said 4. And I'm gonna move on to 3. Okay? So, no. I think it's trying to come back because I remember talking about Charlotte. I remember talking about the parents. So for right now, I'm going to say three. If I've already said three, you can just count this as also being a part of number three. So the next storyline that I wish that they had done for number three was I wish we got more full moon episodes. We got only literally five. We got the moon that gave them new powers. So, and that moon was that moon actually did something. That damn moon almost damn near wanted to kill Lewis. So at least it did something better than the first one in season one. The next full moon we got wasn't until the 13 damn episode. We went 12 episodes out of damn full moon. That was stupid. Why did they do that? Ain't no telling how long it's been. So that fucks the timeline for me, kinda, because I gotta kind of figure out what the fuck we're at this point. So that moon was very tamed. No one got hurt, and the girls actually was able to control themselves under the full moon. The next one we get is literally a full moon that wants Emma to tell Ash. So it's like, yeah, we team tell Ash. So that full moon wasn't that bad. That full moon was a lot silliness, like more tame than usual. The next full moon we get is Charlotte becoming a mermaid, so that full moon doesn't really do nothing. And then the last one we get is the full moon that takes away your powers forever. And that moon didn't really do nothing, but make Charlotte crazier. So yeah, the fact that we went from having one full moon to having to wait 12 episodes before we get another one. Well, in between season 2 episode 1 and 13, it's 11. I take that back. 11 episodes before we get a new one. And then we got to go at least like 3 more before we get another one. And then we got 2 more episodes without a full moon before we get another one. And no, not 2 more. We got 3 more. Then we go having 4 before we get our last one. That gap of 11 episodes without a full moon was a mistake. That was a mistake. They should fix that shit immediately. No. Why did they do that? That was so dumb. And then these full moons, like, yeah, that's great. The first full moon, like, that was a kick ass moon. The next one we get, like, that's more like Camp Crystal fucking Lake. Then we get the next one, that's like we living in Candyland. We la la loopsy all damn day. We want to tell everybody the secret. No, we just want to tell him his boyfriend the secret. Then the next was just another generic turn somebody into a mermaid. And then the last one is the lunar eclipse without the lunar part. No, take it back. Without the eclipse part, but even more so with a boost, it takes away your powers forever. It's like those moves beside the first one are so damn tame. Like, come on. And it's like the Camp Crystal Lake moon is without the killing with Jason Voorhees. It's more like just being creepy. My God, why did they do this? I am so mad at them. You're telling me that season three's full moon is far more better because we get the tentacle? Good God Almighty! Like season three beating them in the full moon department. I don't even think that's in it that much. But the tentacle's a badass. The tentacle is like the biggest, not really a villain, but like the biggest red herring of season 3, because the mermaids think the tentacle is their enemy, and it's not. We found out it's not their enemy. It's just been trying to protect them the whole time, but they've treated like the thing has been aggressive, but in reality, it was trying to warn them and lure them there to tell them what was to come. And they just kept fighting that thing for no reason. But that thing was badass. That tentacle meant business. And I hate it, bro. I hate it. Oh, God. But then that brings me to number 2. The storyline that I wish we got in season 2. I wish we got the tentacle in season 2. That would have been amazing. Like, they didn't have to do it like how season 3, like they just like have it show up from time to time to time, and like just be this vision quest for the girls. And then we find out in season 2 why they became mermaids. And they think that by the time Charlotte becomes a mermaid that the tentacle is like gone. But then all of a sudden it comes back. It comes back and they don't know why. So there's this mystery as to why the tentacle is attacking them. And it turns out it's not. It's trying to lure them all 3 to the island and trying to warn them about the upcoming comet. I really wish that would be my rank 2, is have the tentacle in season 2. That would have been a great thing to happen. Because then Emma would have met the tentacle. You know? She would have found out about it. So what's my number 1 ranked storyline that I wish they had done in season 2? I wish we got more of Dark Emma, Cleo, and Ricky. We got them as being like these we don't give a fuck anymore, willing to be straight badasses when it comes to our powers in episodes 1, 6, 13, 23, and in episode 26. Only 5 episodes out of 26 episodes of them being badasses when it comes with their powers. I hate that, because at least in season like 1 we got way more badass moments when they use their powers. But like in this one, like, no, we don't. We don't see it. Oh, no, no, no. We got 6. Because we got Emma in episode, like, 2 with that whole stream of ice. And then we got, like, when they were training at Mako Island, like, Ricky setting water on fire. Emma causing that balloon float to, like, literally explode in shatters of ice. That sucks, bro. We don't have enough badass power moments in this. They used to like do this like every episode. They had them like do different things, and we don't even get that in season 2. Like, we just get our feels, you know. And then most of the time they're just like talking bad stuff, you know. That's crazy. But yeah, what top 10 storylines y'all would have wanted in season 2? I think if I have an honorable mention, like an honorable mention for the fandom, I would have liked it to be more apparent and obvious that only if you're a person that has the knowledge of this situation, and if you looked past it being a kid show and knew of these situations. On top of that, if you've also experienced this, like me, I've witnessed this as a young child to somebody close to me go through this, but the first one, not the second one. But I wish that they, for the fandom's sake, for the fans, so then that way we would have a discussion that needs to be happening, like an honest discussion. I wish honorable mention wise, they made the domestic abuse thing um about Charlotte domestically abusing Lewis more obvious, and the insatiable episode more obvious in episode 15. Like those two things. So I have not witnessed anybody be sexually assaulted, but I have witnessed someone be domestically abused. So you you kind of get the idea, because I feel like people really don't realize that that's what's happening in Lewis and Charlotte's relationships. That's their dynamic. It's abusive. And with the whole thing with Eminem in episode 15, everyone thinks that that episode is actually supposed to be a comedic episode, but it's a sexual assault episode mixed with comedy. Like it's like dark humor. Like it's made obvious that the girls are being groomed without their knowledge. They're under the influence of something, and they have no power or control over what's happening with them. And they don't even remember. That's the worst part. They don't remember nothing. They don't remember nothing they did or nothing they said. They don't know nothing that happened. Yeah, it probably would make people more pissed at Zayn, but that's his own damn fault. There might be some people like me that we are glad that Lewis did the right thing and didn't do nothing about it. Him and Zayn did do the right thing. I mean, Zayn at least tried to help, but it's all his fault this happened. But Lewis' message at the end of them girls not having control over their own bodies and minds and thoughts and feelings is wrong. But you know, there'll probably some people like me that be like, he still should have warned the girls. Why the fuck did he keep this to himself? He should have called them and told them what Zayn had done. That way they would have been out. They would have got caught up in this situation. Like help them out, say something, speak up. And on top of that, if people really took Nate's behavior to seriousness, they would realize that Nate is the type of person to not saying he would, but there's a possibility he would essay somebody. Because we see Cleo tell him no more than once, and he is aware that Cleo is not interested in him, but he will not take no for an answer. He does the same thing to the next mermaid, Bella. And the only reason why he leaves her alone is because she gets a boyfriend. But he keeps going at Cleo because Cleo is single. She's vulnerable. She's alone. She has nobody. So yeah, if everybody really took Nate's character serious, they would see that he would fit the bill of that demographical type person than what some people thought about Elliot in episode 6. You would see the difference between Elliot and Nate. But let me know what you guys think. Will be your top 10. What do y'all think about those honorable mentions? Let me know in the comments. And I will see you guys in the next video, because we have a Cindy video coming up and a Charlotte video. So without further ado, I will see y'all next time. Uh, God bless you. Have a wonderful day. No one told you. I'm telling you, I love you. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.